Sounds of Ukraine and its great culture. Today I have the pleasure once again talking to one of the most famous musicians from Ukraine. He's from Odessa and he's the founder of Odessa Classics Music Festival. Our today's guest is Alexei Botvinov. Hello, Alexei.
Hello, nice to meet you again.
By the way, my name is Christoph Müller. I make videos for Ukraine for the support of democracy and freedom. But now to our interview. Alexei, you had to leave your country, as I mentioned, in 2022. It was the full-scale invasion, and now you live in Switzerland. How do you feel about this? Two hearts are beating in your chest?
No, of course, it's not just sad, it's tragic, because I love my country, I love my city, Odessa. I was born in Odessa, and at least 6 generations of my family were born in this beautiful, fantastic, very cultural city.
Yes.
And although I had international career as a pianist, many decades, but I never wanted to leave country. It just happened that in the day when war started, I was in Switzerland with my wife and our son. He was 8 years old for that time, for recording, by the way, Ukrainian music for Deutsche Grammophon label. And war started, so we decided to stay there and to wait when it will be finished. We were sure that it will finish soon, but unfortunately, as we know, it's not the case. And we are now already 4 years, more than 4 years in Switzerland, and we miss Odessa and Ukraine very, very much.
I guess. But do you still travel to Ukraine and giving concerts there? Or how do you work? I should have mentioned that you are, because you are the founder of the Odessa Classics, this great festival. You founded it in 2015, right after the first occupation of the Russians of Crimea and the start of the Donbas first invasion. So this was already a kind of a political intention to make this festival. Why did you create this festival?
Absolutely. You know, I am internationally active pianist. I performed in almost 50 countries in the world. And I was happy with my life, and really very happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then it happened 2014 when Russia attacked Ukraine and occupied Crimea and big part of Donbas. So it was huge shock for society, also for me personally. And then I was thinking what I can try to do more than just to play concerts, for my city, for my country. And it came this idea to found a big festival.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
On really high international standards, because for that time in Ukraine there were some festivals, but really very small and not with big stars, so it was more like local things, what important, but not really international. And my idea was just like my own answer to this terrible aggression from Russia, to create a festival who will be really international and who will show that Odessa and Ukrainian culture, it's a part of big European and world festival map and cultural map for classical music and beyond. And so it was very ambitious, and I started without any state support, but with private sponsoring, friends and colleagues. So, but it came really fantastic, very, very fast. Already in 3rd year, we became big festival for 10 days. Then it was 2 weeks. Every summer in June, we made this festival.
Wow.
With including big, let's say, star artists from all over the world, like Joshua Bell, Misha Maisky, Pinchas Zuckerman, Daniel Hope, Evgeny Kissin, etc., etc., etc. Also, orchestras from Berlin, from Zurich, from Brussels. Of course, our best musicians, Ukrainian, and orchestras from Kiev, from Odessa, etc. So it was a really big and very successful festival. We were always sort of full houses and big halls. Our two main menus were our opera house, beautiful, one of the most beautiful in the world, actually.
Yeah.
Actually,
I met it.
at 1,400 people, and fantastic Philharmonic Hall, the best Philharmonic Hall in Ukraine, also 1,100 people. So, and plus, we created the idea to do um, big open air concerts every festival on our landmark of the city, Potemkin Stairs. It's famous for this famous scene in the Eisenstein movie. This Panzerkreuzer Potemkin.
Yeah.
So this very beautiful, big steps from the city to the sea, and we did on these steps big open air with orchestras, with light and visuals, and it was always more than 10,000 people attending to this
Wow.
because we wanted for free for people. So it became a visit card of our festival. So I mean, it was, and we wanted to show that culturally, Odessa not just because it's mostly Russian-speaking city. We don't belong to idea to be part of Putin Russia. So we belong to Europe and to the world, and we want to be in free country. So and it was culturally I think, very important sign because of huge success of festival and all these star artists who were excited and talking in media about it. And we showed that Odessa, it's very open, very free, and let's say democratic city with democratic thinking of people.
Yeah, absolutely. This is very interesting what you are telling, and unfortunately, I have never had the chance yet to attend this great festival. But it's so impressive what you are telling, and all the cultural support. No, not support only. It's just connection between great artists, great musicians worldwide, and so great and so impressive that you made this. I also had the chance to see those famous places you have just mentioned, the Odessa Opera and the Odessa Philharmonie. By the way, yeah, because I tell you, in 2020, I guess, yeah, you know it. In 2022, I was also in Odessa for making this video project. We play for Ukraine. Which I had in mind because I saw all of a sudden the Opera Odessa with the opera choir of Odessa, which was led by Igor Chernetsky. And this should be another episode of another video. It will lead too long. It's not about me and this project. It's about you. Now, Alexei, I just want to say the connection between Europe and European artists and worldwide artists and culture and free democratic country. It's so close, and we must do everything. And once again, thank you so much that you did this, also with your festival. But now back to our interview. When the full-scale invasion started, you have been accidentally in Switzerland, and you stayed there. You said you continued with the work of your festival, but now not as a resident of Odessa, but as a resident of Europe. Is it correct like that?
Yes. So first, you asked me, did I did concerts in Ukraine during the war? No, I did not. And I can explain you why. Odessa Classics became really maybe most powerful culture project of classical music in Ukraine with big international acclaim. And my big fear was and is if I know some artists who are brave enough that they can say, okay, I can go and try to do concerts to do great thing for the people. Yes, but who can guarantee that artists and people will be safe? Because in this case, it will be big media wave, and I'm quite afraid that Russian can be make bomb on this event because they're doing terrible,
Oh,
terrible things. Almost every day they're bombing civilian uh, houses and facilities, etc. So I don't want to put my audience and artist in danger. Unfortunately, I cannot. That's why I didn't do concert until it will be safe.
I see.
So, so I decided that what is also very important for country to continue to gain support from societies in Europe, in different countries, because you know that Ukraine has big support also for war reasons from some of the world, from Europe countries, and this, let's say, to make awareness of this war continuous and we need help. It's also, I think, it's crucially important. So
Mhm.
my idea was to try to do some events in different countries under the brand of Odessa Classics, but Odessa Classics, let's say in Germany or in Bonn or in Zurich or in other cities. And it was successful. So I never thought it would be so big numbers of concerts because we don't have any more support from Ukrainian financial sources, private and state, what it was before. It's but somehow with help of my colleagues, firstly, and some also state institutions in different countries, we managed to do festival this 4 years in 7 countries.
Mhm.
It's Switzerland, it's Germany, it's Belgium, it's Greece, um, it's Baltic states and Poland. So 7 countries, and for this 4 years, it's more than 80 concerts. So it's quite a number. It's quite extraordinary things. Let's say festival on the road or festival in exile, who continues to operate without any stable funding. It's for me, it's still quite a miracle, I would say, because we're doing not just concert, we're doing concerts on highest level with again with big artists, with big names, with orchestras, with ensembles from these host countries and from Ukrainians. So it's really continues to be very decent, highest level festival on the road. And every concert, it's besides high artistical value, has a dimension of this, let's say, political, social dimension, because we make again awareness that unfortunately war in Ukraine continues and our country needs support and help. And I think it's a very important thing what
Yeah,
we are doing.
I think too. I know it is very important, and especially also from the cultural side, because usually in the war, it's in this incredible wartime, it's mainly in the media. It's focused on the military side of the thing, which
Yeah.
front is now advancing with what kinds of weapons and how many people have been killed and so on. This is horrible. But the cultural side, the Russians, they are focusing also very much on the cultural side, which means that they are absorbing the. You can tell me more about this because I learned that the Russians, they take Ukrainians or whatever artists or people and cultures from the countries they invade and they say now it's Russian. Is this true like that?
Yeah, unfortunately, so they're using many things for their propaganda and their war imperialistic reasons. Also, they try to use culture. It's very sad, but they try to continue with very big financial um, financial abilities what still Russia has. That's why I think it's important to show something against it. First of all, that Ukraine is not part of Russia anymore. And if for some our people, for many people, the Russian language is mother tongue, but it doesn't mean that we think that we belong to the Russian Federation and to Putin. Not at all. It's just our language, but we are citizens of Ukraine, and Ukraine, it's like state, it's idea of free democratic country. What's not the case at all in Russia. That's the main reason. And culture, and we have fantastic artists. We have amazing singers and musicians and ballet dancers, etc. And we have great literature. We have artists, and we have fantastic music also from our contemporaries, composers who actually, paradox, during the war, our composers like Silvestrov, Skorik, etc., became very popular in whole world. I see that music of Silvestrov was known before the war, but now it's really performed in every major halls in the world. And really, maybe first it was a sign of solidarity, but then audience discovered it's really amazing music, special music, what has to be performed. I also, myself, I did recording and first year of war together with British violinist Daniel Hope, whole video of chamber music of Valentin Silvestrov. It was very successful, by the way, again on Deutsche Grammophon label. So we are trying to, me also personally, and my colleagues trying to use this, our possibilities to promote Ukrainian music, to show that this music really absolutely fantastic, and it belongs to European and world culture field. I think it's also very much great against this primitive Russian propaganda in culture.
Yeah, the Russian propaganda is it's full of lies. They pretend to be something, but the crazy thing is they as I said, they take also the artists of other countries and say they are Russian posthum when they don't live anymore. Like in Bakhmut, it was in Bakhmut.
You mean Prokofiev?
Prokofiev, I mean Prokofiev, yeah.
Yeah, in this region, yeah. So he's actually born in Donbas region.
Yeah,
Prokofiev. So and the Russian. Okay, but where he was born? Sorry.
Yeah, he was born in and
in the territory of Ukraine.
There's the problem. The world knows Prokofiev as a Russian composer, but he is, he is from Donbas, and also in Donbas now we can see live and in action and in wartime that the Russians are conquering stuff, and then the people worldwide they say, let's freeze the conflict there on the contact line, but. For me, it was completely clear after the collapse of the Soviet Union, those were the borders, and that is Ukraine. And why are the Russians daring to just invade another country and say it's ours? And they will not stop. They will continue. So that's what we in Germany and in Europe and in the rest of the world have to understand, that if Russia is not stopped, then they will continue. That's their nature. That's what they do. Yeah. That's why this empire, this country is such a big thing. It's not a country, it's an empire. It's an evil empire.
Yes. By the way, not about also composers. People always telling, this fantastic Russian school of piano and violin in 20th century, like Sviatoslav Richter, Emil Gires, David Oistrakh. Sorry, guys, all three are from Odessa, from Ukraine, and they moved later when they were already genius with many prizes artists to Moscow. Because in Soviet time you have no choice, you have to go then. Moscow, it was like communist idea that everybody has to be then in Moscow, but they are all three Odessites. So it's actually Odessa and Ukrainian school of music, which is really extraordinary for 20th century.
Yeah, and also when I was in Ukraine in 2022, I saw a very interesting online project which is called Ukraine Live Classics, and they give for free the Ukrainian music to orchestras worldwide.
No, again, when I see programs in, let's say, main orchestras in Europe, I always now see quite many modern Ukrainian music.
Fantastic.
What was not the case because of war, and it's really fantastic. It's something positive what we have now in this terrible situation.
Absolutely, Putin has tried to destroy the Ukrainian culture, but what he achieved it was he created
just opposite. Yes, absolutely. You are absolutely right. It's a fact. Yes, and always this music really so great that it have only super positive reaction everywhere.
Yeah. So the Ukrainian Ukrainian country, Ukrainian nation, Ukrainian language, Ukrainian culture, this must be preserved. And that's why I'm making this video podcast here. I want to show the world as much as possible how great and how beautiful Ukraine is, and how incredibly good people they are. You are. So you're such fantastic, and people are speaking Russian in Ukraine, in southern and southern and eastern Ukraine, but this is just because they were born like that. They don't feel like being Russians. They feel like Ukrainians. But there is still a tiny fraction.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. There is still carry on.
No, I mean, of course, now I'm Switzerland, and we have 4 official languages, and 3 the biggest. It's German, French, and Italian. But it doesn't mean that people from Zurich or Bern want to join Germany. No way. They feel like they Swiss people, just have German speaking, and in Geneva French. So it's the same situation in east and south of Ukraine. Yes, mother tongue is Russian, but we feel Ukrainians. It's very, very strong. So, and what's Russian propaganda? It's trying to tell that if you speak Russian, you belong to our state. It's absolutely false, absolutely wrong.
But do you have any idea why the Russians still are so successful in spreading their false culture, their lies, and people abroad, they are still believing it and parroting all those narratives which are crazy, like the Russian is invincible and Crimea was always Russian and all this stuff, and that you have to bow down in front of the stronger one. People say Russia is so strong, and that's why we cannot win. We cannot win against Russia. But Ukraine proves already since 4 years it's possible to win against Russia. We keep them out.
Actually, maybe you know that last month Ukraine started counter-offensive and quite successful.
Absolutely.
Actually, as I saw that for last months, we gained more land than Russia gained last year. So, I mean, it's really outcome absolutely not so sure like they think. And of course, morale in Ukrainian army is much, much, much higher. Absolutely. Because we defend our land.
You know why you're fighting the Russians? They fight for money. And yeah, and that's why I cannot understand why there is not more moral support. I'm not speaking of financial support now and weapons support, which is also not enough. But the moral support for Ukrainians should, from my standpoint of view, be more. And I cannot understand why Russians are still successful in showing their Potemkin villages that they are invincible and that they are strong and that in the end they will win, which is not true. They will not win. Ukraine will win, that's for sure. But at what sacrifice? At what sacrifice?
Yeah, I see your point. I also sometimes really feel desperate about it, but it's not so sad the situation, because I see the
Good, good.
changes for the better. I have seen in circles of people who I know, let's say in Germany, in Switzerland, and in France, who are maybe slow but sure, realizing that it's really what Russian produce, its lies, and it's absolutely fictional. And sympathy for Ukraine goes better direction. So maybe slow, yeah, but I see positive progress.
When do you think you will live again in Odessa or in Ukraine in a peaceful country? How much time will it? We don't have this magic glass ball to see the future, but I'm
I'm afraid to say, because when we did our first festival abroad, it was in June 22. Let's say several months, some months after start of war in Tallinn, and then in Thessaloniki, the same in Greece, the same months. Both times when I was greeting audience from stage, I said, okay, next year I invite this orchestra to Odessa and we will celebrate Odessa Classics there. And everybody was sure it will be the case. We already planned concrete dates. But now we see it's already 4 years, so we just hope, really, really pray that it will be finished as soon as possible. But I mean, it's so much longer that everybody's thought. It's really, really crazy.
This is absolutely crazy. You mentioned a very important word. You say we pray, and this means take the divine support also by God, who many people don't believe in. But I believe in God. Sometimes God makes really. He lets happen things, but sometimes he helps also in incredible way. And never lose faith in God and pray, because I'm sure that the good will win. And Ukrainians are please, let's pray to God. Make that Ukraine will win very soon, and that Russians will get out, and that they will understand what they are doing, and that they will repent. That is what I say. I also pray for that.
Absolutely, me too. Absolutely.
Alexei, it's such a pleasure speaking to you.
By the way, I wanted to share one quite exciting news from last week. It seems like we will have Odessa Classics concert in Ottawa, in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Yes, in July 25. And I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be big gala concert with many artists presenting Ukrainian music of whole generation, let's say modern and from 19th century and beginning of 20th, and very versatile with chamber music, solo music, piano, and some violin and voice, etc. So it's gonna be, I think, a great event for Canada, and also for great achievement for Odessa Classics to be presented also in Canada this year.
Yeah, Canada is a great country, and they
Absolutely.
they have their own struggle right now with America, which is under the Trump administration a bit weird now, and that's why. So Canada, fantastic. I wish you all the best for this coming events in Canada, and this will be great. This will be great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexei, that you had the time today to speak to me in the channel Talk for Ukraine. And I wish you all the best, and all Ukrainians all the best, and God's blessing and victory and success and humanity. All you wish come true.
Thank you so much, Christoph. Thank you much for your time, and thank you very much for everything what you're doing for Ukraine. Thank you from all my heart for this. Thank you.
And please like and share this program to support my work. If you have comments, write them down in the comment section below. And you can also subscribe to my Substack newsletter so you would really not miss any episode.